Hello and welcome to the Homeless Consultant channel. My name is Paul B. I am the Homeless Consultant. And this is an update on the Minnesota stay-at-home order and Dakota County ostiteophobia, if not all of Minnesota ostiteophobia, the fear, hatred, loathing, and disgust with the homeless just because they don't have a place to live. This is day 15 that I have not had a shower with no... I can look as far toward the horizon as I want and I don't see a shower out there. I haven't shaved either, and I have to tell you, I hate having facial hair. I've never liked it, never wanted it. Godspeed to those of you who can grow a big long beard. I can't, and I don't want to. It feels like I have poison ivy on my face. This is just itches and scratches. I hate it. I hate it. The Governor Walz, he has extended the stay-at-home order, this abomination, to May 2nd. For now. Maybe longer, right? So I want to talk about this, very important things in this update. First of all, I want to talk about Governor Walz's rhetoric machine. This guy's hiding in a bunker somewhere while I'm sitting out here. And he keeps putting out these statements. He sounds like he's trying to become the next Oliver Wendell Holmes or something. Like he's trying to create a quotable quote. I mean, if you know anything about rhetoric and how to structure sentences, you know, so that they have this kind of epic feel to them, everything that this guy's spitting out to Minnesotans sounds like that. And the one that really struck me was, it was something along the lines of, "These are the times that define our character." And I want to look at that for a moment. Alright? Governor Walz is fighting really hard to maintain a stay-at-home order that ends people's jobs, ends their incomes, prevents them from working for a living, taking care of their own families, themselves. And he's doing this because of a health scare, not because of a real, legitimate, major health crisis, as you're going to see again. That's what he's doing. The Minnesota news media praises Governor Walz's leadership. And I've talked about the Minnesota news media's corruption for 100 and some odd videos here. Meanwhile, what am I doing? I am fighting for my God-given right to work for my own living. That is given to me by my Creator. It is given to me by the fact that I exist. That's what I'm fighting for, and I'm fighting for your right to do the same. Meanwhile, the governor hides in a comfortable bunker somewhere. He's in a nice, comfortable home. He's even putting out videos from his home, showing how comfortable he is with his family surrounding him. Minnesota news media praises his leadership. Meanwhile, I'm out here living in a car. I'm suffering on the front lines of this so-called war. Exposed to everything. Not hiding from anything. And yet, despite that, I still create these videos. I still go through the effort not to create quotable quotes, but to inform you with things that you need to know to understand the reality of the situation. Not what the Minnesota news media tells you, not what Governor Walz tells you. I'm telling you and showing you, and you have no idea how much effort goes into these videos. For someone in my situation, frankly, from what I can tell, the homeless guy living in a car, I seem to be doing, in terms of just action, doing more than almost every Minnesotan combined. I can't see where they're doing anything. They just obey the governor, they stay at home, they go walk the dog. They're not out researching the reality of what's going on with this health scare. They're not out telling people. They're not out fighting to get us our inherent God-given right to earn a living back. They're doing nothing. These are the times that define our characters, huh? And remember, you know, I mean, there's other things. I've done this in the past. I spent 10 years warning about this very kind of thing. That's where all my money went when I was a professional. I was in hotels. I had 10 years with those 2 projects I was working on trying to make a documentary film warning about this very kind of thing coming down the pike. The way the government was encroaching and was going to be able to take over our lives completely. And if the people did not stand up to it, it sets a legal precedent. And if that precedent goes unchallenged, it has the force of law, even if it's unconstitutional. An executive stay-at-home order. If it is not challenged, it becomes law if it is not challenged over a period of time. And these lazy Minnesotans do nothing about it. Nothing. They just obey. I mean, back in graduate school, I spent many years in Skywarn, in the middle of Tornado Alley, the very worst, most dangerous part of Tornado Alley. I was out there in my car. My car got destroyed by hail. I was out there at times, lightning bolts would hit, 15 feet over there. The sound of the thunder would almost make my ears bleed. I'm out there to protect people from severe weather. I don't want them to get hurt. I'm putting myself on the line for that. That's the kind of thing I do. This guy's hiding in a bunker. Defining character. This guy's hiding outside. He's not out there traveling around Minnesota seeing the devastation that his actions are causing. He's not watching the way that I have to live. No human being should have to live the way that I live. You get just the tiniest portion of the kind of suffering I have to deal with on a daily, by minute basis. You get just bits and pieces of it. I mean, I could spend all day telling you about the things I have to deal with. How about the piece that on my visor here, the clip broke off the other day. So now my visor hangs here all the time. It won't stay up at all. And I can't use it properly. Just one little minor thing, but you know what? It's one of 1,000 things I have to deal with. How's he going to know that when he's hiding in his comfortable bunker? What's he in there, just playing Nintendo games? I'm not. While the governor listens to and obeys the experts, who I have demonstrated throughout my junk science videos to be anything but experts. They are junk scientists, and they are dangerous. They pose an existential threat to the United States of America. While the governor obeys them, Minnesota news media praises his leadership. Meanwhile, I'm sitting in this car, and I have been for the last 30 years, researching the truth about junk science, researching the truth about public health fraud, and telling you about it. Despite these conditions that I live in, I still go through that effort. I could sit here and play video games. I've got a few video games on this computer. I could sit here and play Command & Conquer if I wanted to. I haven't fired that game up yet since the stay-at-home order started. The only movies I've watched are the, 1 2/3. I told you I watched the Muppet movies when I got stalked over at the library. And I got chased out of there. I still haven't even finished the movie. While the governor spends his time trying to find immortality in Bartlett's familiar quotations, Minnesota news media praises his leadership. Meanwhile, I'm going through all of this effort, and I'm trying to right wrongs. I'm trying to get people their civil liberties back, the ones that my ancestors fought for. I don't know what planet his ancestors came from, but if they are among the people who fought to give us these civil liberties, then the kind of treason this guy's demonstrating right now is just, it goes beyond a country. He's betraying his own ancestors. I'm trying to save our economy. I'm trying to get people back to work. I'm trying to get people to be free again, as is their right by the very fact that they exist. No government can take away your freedom like that. We're all going to die, folks. We are all going to die. Are we going to spend that life cowering inside our homes from some virus that we don't know anything about, that we're being lied to left and right? Or are we going to show some human dignity and stand up for ourselves? Are these Minnesotans ever going to surround that state capitol and hold hands and demand their freedom back? Because our ancestors did that kind of thing. Why aren't we doing it? Character indeed. Character indeed. This shameful stain on our human history that we're experiencing right now. Our descendants are going to look at this with just contempt. They're just going to go, what was wrong with these people? Because at the time, they're going to know the truth. They're going to look back and they're going to say, why didn't they just do some research? Couldn't they see how much of a fraud this was? What was wrong with these people? They gave up everything. They gave up their essential liberties. They set a precedent that allows the government to take over control of the minutia of their daily lives. And those descendants are the ones who are going to suffer for it. Absolutely shameful. You know what this reminds me of? The thing that came to mind as I watched Governor Walz was Robin Williams before he died. I saw some clip, I don't know how, I'm not really a Robin Williams fan, I mean whatever, but Work From Work was fun when I was a kid, but he was on stage and he was standing with, I think, 2 other people, and he was doing his hyper guy thing, but he wasn't getting any laughs. It was really kind of tired and worn out. And he got so desperate, he got on the floor behind one of them and stuck his hands between the guy's legs and started basically doing some kind of phallic thing. And then everybody started laughing. All the masses started going, ah, because of this, toilet humor. And because of that, Williams, stayed there. He didn't stop. He just kept doing it. And I was so embarrassed for Robin Williams at that time. It was just, it's like, how sad. I mean, he was a good comedian in many ways. But that's what he was reduced to get a laugh. And this is how I see Tim Walz trying to get into the quotations book. Another thing that reminded me of, back when I was an undergraduate, I created a insult generator. This is just a practical joke, right? So it was an insult generator, and basically the coding was really, really simple. So I loaded everything into an array, which means it's in memory, it's not on disk. And it basically said, it would print out a sentence, and it would say, you, and then it would choose a random adjective, and then a random noun from this list, and then the word of, and then another adjective and another noun from these lists that I had loaded into memory. So it would come out with things, it would just randomly create an insult, like, you lousy box of yellow used tires, or you reprehensible load of overgrown fire hydrants. They make no sense at all, but, they're insults. And what I did was I put it in the lab, and I would load it into memory and then take the disk away. And it was set to run, it simulated DOS, so it had the little, DOS prompt. So someone would go in there and they would type in whatever it is they're doing the first time, and it would come back with this insult. And then it would release itself from memory. So then they would, and it would also, delete it after 10 seconds. So they would call over the lab tech, and the lab tech would come over there, and they think the person's crazy because they can't replicate it. They can't make it happen again because I had it exit memory. And the reason I think of that is because this guy is basing his decisions on these experts with their computer models. I'm telling you, folks, I've programmed computers since I was a child. I can write a model that will tell you anything you want to hear. Anything. It can even tell you nothing. A computer, if you understand how to program computers, you understand that they mean nothing. If there's no understanding behind it, the model means nothing. And that's what this leader, as Minnesota media calls him, that's what he's basing all of this human devastation that he's causing on. All the lives and families he's destroying, the jobs, the wealth that people have built up through hard work over their lifetime. And they call this guy a leader. And he has the audacity to go out there and talk about character. Based on what I just told you, you think about it yourself. Don't let him think for you. Don't let me think for you. Don't let the media think for you. Think about it. Think about it. Who is demonstrating character here? The guy who calmly from his bunker sits there and, these are the times that try men's souls. Or the guy who's sitting in this car mad as hell about what's going on out here and trying to save my life and your family's life and your children and progeny's lives. How about some more essential businesses that are open while I'm not allowed to work for a living? Pool and spa stores. Pool and spa stores. I haven't had a shower in 15 days. If you could smell my feet right now, unless you're one of those creeps who's into that kind of thing, you would keel over. You would pass out. And that's just my feet. Remember, because of the crap I have to eat, I've had diarrhea almost every day. 15 days with no shower in sight, because they built a football stadium rather than building a sink for the homeless to maintain their hygiene with. Character indeed. On Friday, when I was driving around this town, the business parks, where you have all these different businesses, usually offices, and lots of parking, they were probably half full of cars. Who's obeying this stay-at-home order, other than me, apparently? Who's obeying it? And it's interesting, my company who is obeying this order, that's why I can't work for a living, they're not a Minnesota company, they're from another state. Isn't that interesting? Do you see a pattern here? The liquor stores are open. I've mentioned that before, but I want to point out, I can't remember exactly, but I saw a news report saying that there's been an increase in domestic violence and abuse, alcohol related. And I said in a previous video, alcohol, the mind-altering drug alcohol, is responsible for more abuse of spouses, of children, for more sexual abuse of children. It is responsible for more irresponsibility and lost work time. It is responsible for more of the traffic deaths out there than any other single cause that I can think of. And the liquor stores are open as essential while I'm not allowed to work for a living, because this man of character, this man with so much empathy, is the leader of Minnesota right now. While the guy just sitting in this car trying to remedy this nonsense is looked at with disgust and contempt because of ostiteophobia, which runs rampant in Minnesota. Hatred of the homeless. It's just disgusting. It reminds me of the Bible where it says in the end times, men will call good evil and evil good in the times preceding Jesus' return. Among the many signs that were supposed to happen, including pestilence, by the way, wars and rumors of wars, one of those things to look for was men will begin to call good evil and evil good. They'll twist everything 180 degrees. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Along those lines of alcohol causing car crashes, the Tribune itself, the Minnesota Star-Tribune, posted this story on a surge in automobile accidents, fatalities in Minnesota. Now, there's a stay-at-home order. No one's supposed to be on the roads, right? Unless you're essential. And yet, they've had a surge in it. They're attributing it to the fact that the roads are emptier than usual, which they are. They're still really, really busy, but they're emptier than usual. So people feel like they have a free ride, and the police don't want to make contact with people to maintain social distance. So you've got a free ticket to drive as recklessly as you want. And that is exactly what these Minnesotans are doing, by the way. I have never seen so much reckless driving. I'm terrified out there driving, even though there's maybe 1/5, 1/6 of the cars that I usually see. These people are driving like maniacs out here. Tailgating, passing on the right. They'll be in the left-hand lane while I'm there, and they'll make a right turn right in front of my car over and over and over again. I have seen that particular action maybe 5 times since the stay-at-home order started. Being in the left lane and making a right turn right in front of traffic. But the automobile fatalities, what did they say? In the period that they have had this shutdown, the stay-at-home order, roughly, there might be a day or two off, there have been 29 fatalities from car accidents. And that doesn't count all the people who are in the hospital wounded from that. 29. How many coronavirus deaths have they had in that same period? 39. Automobile deaths in the same period, 29. Coronavirus, 39. And the automobile deaths are absolutely, positively due to the car accident. You can see the crumpled up metal. You can see the person's body split apart as if they were drawn and quartered. That's your proof that the automobile accident killed them. It wasn't smoking. It wasn't suicide. The automobile accident killed them. With coronavirus, as I've been saying all along, these deaths aren't even related to coronavirus in most cases, maybe all. I don't know. But they're definitely not in most cases. It's just somebody who died who had coronavirus. What if you die and you have the common cold? Do they write it down and say, well, they died of the common cold? No. What if you have the flu? What if you have pneumonia and you get the flu? What are they going to write it down as? Which one killed you? Was it pneumonia? Was it the flu? That's where the 39 comes from. The 29 car accident deaths is absolutely positively determinable what caused it. Governor Walz has shut down our whole society, destroyed all these lives, all this collective wealth. The devastation that's going to come from all of this. And as I said in other videos when I was talking about anti-smoking fraud, do you see anybody out there requiring them to put warning labels on cars that are that deadly? Do you see anyone out there like they're telling to put cigarette packs, to put these lying photos, by the way, that don't even reflect reality? Take a pig's lung that has disease and put it on there and pretend that it's a human lung, that kind of thing? Take someone amputated arm because they were in a car accident or because they went to war and say that because they smoked they lost their arm? That's what they're doing on these cigarette packs, right? That's what they want to do. Do you see anybody calling for them to put pictures all along every car on the road showing decapitated bodies, showing a human head detached from the body? Because that's what the cars cause. I don't see anybody even asking for that. I don't even see Governor Walz asking for that. Seems like it would save a lot of lives, wouldn't it, if people had that on their mind while they're out there driving this recklessly? But you know what? Governor Walz wants to drive his car. And anti-smokers want to drive their cars. And they don't want to drive around in a car that has the truth all over it. They only want smokers, people who they hate, to walk around with packs that have lies on them, that humiliate and shame them. Good, evil, evil, good. 29 deaths. And if you read between the lines, they're literally attributing it to the stay-at-home order. They're saying that this is happening because the roads are so much emptier that people are driving more recklessly. Why are the roads emptier? Because of the stay-at-home order. Why do we have a stay-at-home order? Because Governor Tim Walz dictated it. Unconstitutionally, but he dictated it. Why did he do that? Because this leader is obeying the experts, who I, the homeless guy, have spent 30 years proving are fraudulent. Calling good evil, calling evil good. Let's change topics here. I put this on my Twitter. I just want to show you a video of this cat. Yeah, I've showed you the rabbit before. These are the closest things I have to pets. There's a cat in this particular area. Poor little matted thing, hasn't been bathed since who knows when. I see it out there just crawling. It's trying to find some food and it can't. I feel so bad for this cat. It's a homeless cat, and I know how it feels to be homeless and to have nobody care whether you live or die. I went out and bought some cat food, you know, the kind that you open, the wet food. And I had to wait until I saw the cat kind of pass by. When I saw him pass by, I let him get a little further away because I didn't want to spook him. I did everything I could, but I cracked open this thing and I just opened the door and I barely had, the door wasn't even fully open and he just ran. But I poured the food out on this plate and I put it down there on the ground far away, and I was really hoping he would eat it, you know, and it was there, I left it there really overnight, so it was probably there for about 16 hours and there wasn't a bite taken out of it. I mean, I'm trying to feed a homeless cat, and 5 million Minnesotans let me sit here and eat potato chips and Cheez-Its for 15 days. And like I put in the tweet, I mean, I'm sitting there staring at that food. The food looks like a gourmet stew to me. And I know it's nutritious for a cat, but my understanding is that the stuff isn't very nutritious for humans. But do you have any idea how badly I wanted to just grab that food and eat it? It shouldn't be that way, folks. If we had a real leader in Minnesota, it wouldn't be that way. But the Minnesota news media calls him a leader. I want to tell you about yesterday, and this is just one day. Every day is getting worse and worse and worse because the people are getting more willing to flaunt and disobey this stay-at-home order. They're getting more bold about it. It's almost like kind of a calm anarchy. And that means that people are messing with me more and more and more. Yesterday was an absolute nightmare. I literally spent the whole day just driving from place to place. I couldn't get away from someone harassing me for any length of time, maybe 2 hours tops. And I burned like $10 in gas yesterday. And it was just to try to get away from those people. They're messing with me, like I showed you in the Dakota County ostiteophobia video. That kind of thing, over and over and over. So let me just tell you a bit about yesterday. Now, not last night, but the night before, the one that began yesterday. Where I was parked outside of my mechanic's business, which has a couple other businesses in it. They told me, hey, just stay out here. Now, that's very nice of them, but you have those other businesses there. At 9 p.m., which is hours after these places would normally close, and they haven't even been open for a week, this black car comes through. It looked a lot like the gang. Like I said, there's gangbangers all over the place. If you go into the gas stations at night, you just sit outside a gas. Do it. If you're in Minnesota, do it. Go sit outside a gas station at night if you dare. If you dare go through what I'm going through, and watch who goes into those things. Are you going to see accountants and lawyers, firemen? Are you going to see them going into that place, or are you going to see a bunch of gangbangers? I'll let you do the research on that one. So this car comes through, probably a $50,000 black car, something that only drugs can pay for, or being a Minnesota attorney or politician. Comes through here. Well, I'm sorry, the first one came through it the other direction, right? There's a porn store down there. Pulls out in front of there with its headlights on, just sits there. Just sits there. The headlights pointed at me. I'm in here, I've got the computer up, so it has the screen, and that lights my face in an otherwise very dark area. So they're probably, what are they doing here at 9 p.m.? I've told you about the break-ins to businesses, right? Harbor Freight all boarded up because someone broke in. Well, these guys are out here in a back off-road dark area in front of a porn store, just sitting there, and it's almost like they didn't get out of the car. It's like they're thinking, what should I do? Did they expect the place to be open? It's like, there's actually somebody back here. It's like they're thinking, should we do anything or should we just leave? Well, they left, and they drove by really slow right in front of me, which is terrifying. When they're right in front of my car, I had no escape route. And they drive out and they leave. 15 minutes later, exactly, 9:15, they come back again. And they drive through here, but this time they just drive straight through and they leave. As if they're checking to see if I'm still here. Were they planning to break into these businesses? And the funny thing is, these business owners look at me as the problem, because I'm the big bad homeless person, right? Ostiteophobia. The fact that I'm sitting here prevents people like that from breaking into their businesses. Because if I see them doing something like that, I'm either going to stop them or I'm calling the cops. And yet these business owners look at me as the problem, because they just believe the fact that you're homeless means you must be a problem. You must be a threat. Folks, the threat was the person driving that really, really, really nice car, not the guy driving this piece of junk. 15 minutes later, 9:30. Can you guess what happened? Same thing. Just drove right through. Nope, that guy's not gone yet. I guess we can't break into this place tonight. And if those owners of the business came down here and saw me here, they'd probably call the police on me, wouldn't they? Just like Cub Foods did when I told them what was going on in their parking lot. They called the cops on me. Cub Foods is based in the state of Minnesota, a hotbed of ostiteophobia, hatred of the homeless. In the morning after that, I went out to do my laundry. Turns out that the laundromat is open. I don't know why. Stay-at-home order. So I go to the laundry. I'm going to tell you more about this one in detail later, but I got stalked there. Again, I'm going to tell you about that one. After that, I really couldn't figure out where to go. I mean, there was weird, like, snow and super high-speed winds briefly, and then it would go back to like it is now. It was really weird yesterday. I went to parks, I went to parking lots, I went wherever I could. Every time I go there, within minutes, or like I said, the most I had was 2 hours, and that was at this other place, my mechanics. Somebody would come in and park right by me every single time. And I'd have to leave. Because I don't know if those people are armed. I don't know what their intentions are. It doesn't make any rational sense for them during a stay-at-home order. What are they even stopping their car for in the first place? They're supposed to either be home or at the grocery store or driving in between. They're not supposed to be pulling into a parking lot like I have to. So why are all these cars doing it? And then why, in a big empty parking lot, do they pull right next to me? Why? Governor Tim Walz has a lot of free time on his hands right now at home. Maybe he could research that one for me, because I don't know the answer. I don't know. But I have to assume the worst. I have to, for my safety. I've dealt with these people too many times. They're dangerous, and they are housed. 99% of crimes committed by housed people, not homeless people, folks, and yet they have some irrational fear of the homeless. Your neighbors are the ones you need to fear. The ones who are sitting at home instead of standing up for everybody's rights right now, they're the ones you need to fear with a mortal fear. Hi, I just have to add an insert here. When I was midway through editing this video, the urge to use the restroom came over me, and then some. So I put everything aside, buried it under blankets, and I drove over to the nearest bathroom I know of, which is Menards. I used the facilities, and then I went in and bought a couple drinks and some more cheese nips. And when I got in line, there was one person in front of me and then me, and that person was just finishing up, so I was just about to have my stuff scanned. This couple came in behind me. Really nice, expensive haircuts. Professional, housed people. The woman had the beautiful long flowing hair, and she had a bandana wrapped around her mouth like Jesse James. And the whole time she's just whining and moaning. Oh God, I can't believe this. God, we're never going to get through this line. This is just taking forever. Meanwhile, one of the things I was purchasing was this for $1.79, which I can't afford. This is the bottle I plan to urinate in while I'm living in this car. And that fine, nice, respectable, housed Minnesotan thinks that she has problems. Perhaps now you can help understand why I'm stuck living in this car, when those are the people I have to depend on to stop it. Back to the video. I drove through the Walmart parking lot where I'm not allowed to sleep, right? Someone in Dakota County, in the city government here in Dakota County, they dictated for no good reason you can't sleep overnight there, which means homeless people. Now, you can have these accessibility buses sit there and park there for hours. You can have people just park and sit in their cars for hours during the day. But if you're homeless and you have this huge empty parking lot and hardly any of the main parking lot is busy overnight because they just don't get much business overnight, nope, homeless can't park out there in that parking lot. Not a chance. Don't want to see the homeless. Don't want to know that they exist. Oh, and by the way, I should mention this as well. I don't know how accurate this is. The reason I've always said 10,000 homeless people in Minnesota is because that's what I was told by social services. On Twitter, one of these homeless agencies in Minnesota put out a tweet saying, I think it was the Wilder Foundation, did a study of how many homeless people there are in Minnesota. They came up with, I think, 19,600. That is twice the number that I've been talking about all this time. And guess what, folks? They never interviewed me, so you can add one more, at least. So instead of 10,000 homeless, we're looking at about 20,000, according to the Wilder Foundation. And we can't sleep in a Walmart empty parking lot. Because one person in government here just dictated by fiat. I don't like homeless people. Ew. Gross. You know, if Judgment Day comes and we end up in heaven, I'm wondering if God is going to take the collective pain and suffering of all the people who were affected by that, all the people who had a safe place to stay so they could sleep as they need to. I wonder if he's going to take all their collective suffering and find that one unnamed person in government who said we can't sleep there, and if he's just going to take all that pain and just insert it into that one person and let that person experience what they alone caused for so many other people. And if that's the case, I've got to wonder what Governor Tim Walz is going to feel when he gets a taste of all the pain that he has caused. I don't know if that's what divine judgment's going to be, but if it is, you now understand why the word hell exists. These people are creating hell on earth, and nobody's stopping them. They're creating hell for me and 20,000 other homeless people. I went to Home Depot for a while. Didn't plan to be there long, but I had to keep moving around because I kept getting stalked everywhere I went. So I went to Home Depot. I didn't get necessarily stalked as such. There's cars that pull in there and leave, you know, the closet smokers in particular. They come and they smoke and then they leave. People get on and use their phones. But at one point I dozed off. It was about 10 or 15 minutes. I dozed off. I wake up, and it's pretty natural for me. When I wake up, the first thing I do is scan my environment to see where, first of all, where am I? I don't know. I'm somewhere different every time. And second of all, is there a threat? So when I wake up, I usually just, and that's what I did. So I did. I looked to the right, I looked to the left really fast, and there's a guy in a pickup truck down there. Now granted, he was about 8 spaces away. Guy in a pickup truck with his window completely open, and he's just staring. He's got his body turned 90 degrees. He's already staring right at me. And he doesn't even look away when I look at him. And I do this kind of thing. I'm just like, and the guy just keeps staring at me. It's what I call rubbernecking. That's a housed Minnesotan. I'm not a zoo animal on display, Minnesotans. If you can't figure this out, I am a human being. I am not a zoo animal on display for your sick pleasure. Yesterday there was a period around, I'd say about 8 p.m. No, it was about 7:30 or 8 p.m. The traffic out there on the main arteries was indistinguishable from the traffic on any other Friday night. For that period at least. Stay-at-home order, Friday night, the traffic was almost indistinguishable from any other Friday night when there's no stay-at-home order. If nobody's obeying this stay-at-home order, then why am I out of a job? Why? Governor Walz keeps going on from his bunker. He keeps issuing these videos like Bin Laden would send out a video from his cave and tell us how it is. And he keeps saying, oh, Minnesotans are so good about obeying the stay-at-home order. I don't see it. If I'm out in the middle of nowhere all the time, that's what I'm doing. I'm parking in the middle of nowhere. And yet every single time, somebody finds me and parks right next to me. It seems to me that people are not obeying the order. And by the way, the only reason no one's come up parked next to me right now is because of where I am and the time of day in particular. But where I am, it's going to change within a few hours, believe me. And as far as the driving goes, again, just even when the roads are much thinner than usual, if I'm on, say, a 4-lane road, you got 2 lanes going your direction, I'm on there driving, and I will still be tailgated. I'll start driving at the speed limit as I always do. I'll see some headlights way behind me. I'll see them just catch up to me, and the car will just sit right behind me with their headlights a couple feet behind me. They don't go into the other lane and pass. This is Minnesota nice. These people do nothing but intimidate others. That's all they do when they're off camera, when they are anonymous, when you can't hold them accountable. There's one particular stretch of road here in this town. It's right past, there's a hill. When you start from a stoplight, it's 45 miles an hour. About 100 feet later, it's like a speed trap, it goes to 40. And then it goes down this big hill. And next to this hill is this big elementary school, right up against the road. It is one of the worst areas in this entire town as far as reckless driving. People speeding, tailgating, just weaving traffic because they're trying to get to the next light and get in the lane that they want. Right next to this elementary school, I'm still shocked that we don't have those kids being knocked off one after another. It is one of the most dangerous places I drive in, and they're still driving that way, even though at most there might be 2 cars on the road at the time. Nobody's stopping them. Nobody's pulling them over. Now, when I was at the mechanics, I came back later in the day because I had to move around all day long. And by the way, when I was at Home Depot, I want to say this. When I was at Home Depot, right before I started packing up to move to another place, somebody came in. They had like a beige SUV. They pulled in kind of slow, and you just tell by the way people are driving, sometimes someone's got you on their mind. And they drove through, they drove around, and as they drove by, they went kind of like this to me, and they drove away. And I don't necessarily take that as a threat. In fact, I think I'm not sure, that might be a police officer I know in his civilian clothes. And if that was you, Jason, I just want to say I'm so sorry I didn't recognize you. I didn't have my eyes on. I'd like to wave back if that was in fact you. You just don't expect that, so I didn't know. I wish he had come over and talked to me. It'd be nice to have some contact as long as we stand 16 feet away from each other, because we're just nothing but deadly to each other, right? According to Governor Tim Walz, a empathetic leader. Later in the day, I come back to the place where my mechanics is. Now, as far as getting work done on my computer, when it's sunny outside, I can barely see my computer screen at all. For what it's worth, it's useless, especially what I do. I do graphics things, I do sound things. I need to see every detail of the screen, and my eyesight is so bad from being in this car, even with these dollar store glasses, I can barely see under the best of conditions. So the only time I can really do anything productive on my computer is at dawn and dusk. Because if I do it overnight, then the screen is so bright, it alerts everyone to me being there. And then I get messed with. So I can't do it. Dawn and dusk are the only times I can actually try to be productive. In my video for police on noise complaints, I talked about how I was redoing my drum kit. The drum kit is based on noise that I recorded from the neighbors. That's what got me homeless in the first place, being terrorized and tortured by these people for years. And I took the sounds, the boom, just sonic booms that these people would make all day and all night, and I made a drum set out of them so you can sit on a drum machine and boom, ah! All the screaming and horn honking and stereos blaring and all that stuff. So I was making the drum kit, but I needed to redo it because when I did it originally, I didn't really set the volumes correctly, and there's some noise. So I need to go through and I need to redo the volumes so that they're consistent, and I need to do some noise reduction to get rid of some of the hiss. You got to have that for a drum machine, or else the music you make is going to have a bunch of noise in it, right? So if I had a home, that whole process would take about 8 to 10 hours. There's something like, I don't know, 300 or so of well, just a second, I'll find out. No, there's a total of 612 noises in this drum set. They're in different categories like bangs, barking dogs, booms, bumps, combinations, crashes, door pulls, door rattles, door slams, drops, on my ceiling, foot stomps, boom, 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 boom. There's a whole bunch of these categories, 612 of them, noises in there. Again, for me to do the changes I need to do so that I can get this and release it, if I had a home, a nice quiet place where I can work constantly without interruptions, without having to flee from people who keep coming over to me, it would take about 8 to 10 hours for me to get that done. All done. I started on this a few days after the stay-at-home order, so it's been about 2 weeks. I'm not even through the first folder yet. I'm not even halfway through the bangs. I've done about 18 of these sounds so far in 2 weeks. That's what it's like to be homeless, folks. You wonder why we can't get things done? You wonder why we can't be as productive as we want to be? There you go. Put me in a hotel for 8-10 hours. I'll be done with this. Put me in this car where I have to keep fleeing from my life and dodging people, and I can only work during these few hours at dawn and dusk because my life is at risk if I try working overnight because of the screen revealing my location. And there you go, 2 weeks, and I can't even get a tiniest fraction of this done. Alright, now I need to go back to that laundry and talk about the stalker. Alright, at the laundromat, I'm parked in front of the laundromat. When I went in, there was nobody there. Nobody. By the time that this happened, I was on the drying section. So I'd already washed and I had them in the dryer. Alright? By that time, some other cars, about 3 other cars were over there. Now, they were parked a couple spaces away and down. This guy with this security, this jacket that says security in big letters on the back, some kind of a rent-a-cop. He comes walking by, and I'm sitting in the car. He comes walking by, and he just does this rubbernecking, with this menacing look on his face. And this is exactly what I've been talking about. It's the same look in my police video. You'll see I interrupt my video for police. I interrupt it twice because this guy walked near my car. Huge empty parking lot. And this guy walks within feet of my car, which, okay, whatever. If that's the point A and point B, if that's the straight line, whatever. If you just walk by my car, whatever. But he couldn't do just that. He has to walk by and do the rubbernecking thing where he turns his head as he's walking and he stares with this, not with a smile, but with this, I'm going to kill you while you're sleeping look. That's what this security guy did. So I'm just like, what the heck was that all about? Now I want to show you what my car looks like when you walk past my car. You've got a guy who is as disheveled as I am, hasn't showered in 2 weeks, growing this ridiculous facial hair that he doesn't even want, looks filthy. I've got junk in my car all over the place. When the guy came back later, he's on his cell phone. Didn't pay any attention to me at all, and he's just angry. He's real angry, just yapping about whatever. Alright? The guy comes back a little while later. And this time, I kind of see out of the corner of my eye that he's coming. So I don't look at him, but I look out, I do use my peripherals. My peripherals, if you've watched the 40-year-old Virgin, right? I use my peripherals, and I watch the guy. He's not on his phone. He walks past those 3 other cars, doesn't even look at them. His head is focused on the direction he's walking. When he gets to my car, he turns once again and does the I'm going to kill you while you're sleeping look. And his head is turned toward me even after he has passed the midpoint of my car. That means, like that Bigfoot video, right? The Patterson film where Bigfoot's looking back. This guy was doing that. He didn't do it to any of those 3 other cars. Didn't even pay them attention. But me, he stares right at me. Maybe it's because if you look at the outer and inner condition of the car and my condition, it's obvious that I'm homeless. It's called osteo-phobia, folks. The only film I could get of this guy was as he's walking away, and look what he does. He does this, hoo-ha. Here's the thing. You might say, well, you're sitting in your car, of course. Here's the thing, folks. Look at this sign on the door to the laundromat. We were all sitting in our cars. The laundromat asked us to sit in our cars. But he didn't pay a bit of attention to them in their nice cars. He only had something to say to me. This is what I deal with all the time. And I want to show you video. There's basically 3 ways people can walk past your car. All right, here's the first way. This is where you're just going wherever it is you're going. You have something to do with your life, and you're going to go do it. This is how you do it. Straightforward. You're just going from point A to point B. Here's the second way. You can go from point A to point B, but you're kind of sort of checking out your surroundings to see what's there. Maintain your safety, see if there's anything interesting. This is how you do that. You just cast a casual glance and that's it. You've forgotten it a moment later. Then there's the third way. This is the way that I get all the time, that other people do not get. You get a look that kills, and quite often the people literally do what I did here, and they actually slow their pace ever so slightly to extend the length of time they have to just stare at me. They turn their head like Bigfoot, and they just stare, and their face becomes this just contempt and disgust. They get a scowl on their face. And it's a look that says, when you go to sleep tonight, I'm setting this car on fire with you inside of it. That's what the look is. And I have to deal with that all the time. In that police video, that is exactly the look that that big chubby fellow gave me. Both times that he went past me. And anyone who just watches that video because you can't see what he did, you probably think, oh, see, Paul's getting all paranoid now. He's all living in the car. He's going crazy. Really? I would love, if you want to buy me a gift, an early gift for Christmas, get me dash cams, front and back dash cams. Because I can't pull this camera out and just shine it in these people's faces. They might be armed. They might be insane. I can't set these people off. Give me some dash cams so I can actually capture what I have to see. And then you'll know what I'm talking about. When I'm moving around town and I have to choose a place to stay, there isn't really anything to choose from. But look at the things I have to consider. You don't. You go where you're going and you park and you do it and you leave. And then you go home and you go inside your home. But this is what I have to do all day, every day, as I'm just trying to find a place to exist without being bothered by housed people. I have to choose my location based on safety first and foremost. What's the visibility of my surroundings? Are there any escape routes? What kind of escape routes do I have? Where I'm at right now, I have 2 ways I can go. I cannot go backwards. I have a little bit of leeway to the sides. If someone pulls directly in front of me, though, I'm stuck. I have to do an assessment of whether I'm trespassing or whether people are going to consider it trespassing. In other words, if I'm on someone else's property, are they really going to care? There are some people who figure out the obvious and they're like, well, duh. Or they might know me, like my mechanics, and they would prefer that I'm here because that way they at least feel that I'm safer. And they know that their property is being protected by an unpaid security guard for what it's worth. Remember, my parking brake doesn't work and this is a stick shift. And I have to start the car and run it all the time to generate, well, engine heat. The heater doesn't work, but the engine heat. Well, if I'm on a hill, which most parking lots are for drainage and such, most parking spaces are on a hill, this car rolls away. And if I doze off and fall asleep, this car could roll and who knows what kind of chaos that could cause. So I have to constantly worry about whether my car is going to roll. And sometimes that means I have to sit there for an hour with my foot on the brake. And that blows out my catalytic converter. Remember when the cat fell to the ground? That's probably the reason it happened. I'm not positive. That's not my field of expertise. But all that back pressure there, I don't know. But what I do know is that I have to assess where I'm parking. What's going to happen if I let off the brake? Is the car going to roll backwards, forward? Do you have to worry about that every single time you park your car? I do. The lighting. What about the lighting? I need lighting in terms of safety and security. Lighting in terms of kind of hiding so that people won't see me. But also, like I was saying before, lighting in terms of the sun. If the sun's up there, it gets, what, 20, 25 degrees hotter in this car than it is outside. So if it's 90 degrees outside, it's way over 100 degrees in here. Way, way over 100 degrees in here. Maybe 120. And my window doesn't open, in case you haven't seen my other videos. That one does, this one doesn't. I have no airflow unless I open the door. What if I open the door and then I doze off asleep? How safe am I there? Noise. I have to worry about noise. When I'm recording videos like this, you know, if I have the door open, you're gonna hear these motor scooters going by. You're gonna hear that. You're gonna hear all the gangbangers' cars. You're gonna hear that. I can't really make a good video with that kind of noise. What about when I'm trying to make a drum set? That requires hearing every detail of the sound, because I'm trying to create something that other producers are going to use to make their own music with. I can't allow even a little tick, I can't allow that in these sounds. I have to hear everything perfectly through those headphones. When I'm wearing those cans, I've got to hear exactly what's going on. There can't be noise around if I'm going to do that properly. If I'm recording videos like this, I do my best to minimize the noise that would distract you from what I'm saying. And of course, what about nearness to where a bathroom is located? With the stay-at-home order, the places that are open that have bathrooms have shrunk to 10% of what they used to be. It's only gas stations. Let me just put it that way. It's only gas stations. There is nowhere else I can go. Even the restaurants that are open for carry-out, drive-through, they're not open inside. The only place I can go to the bathroom is a gas station. So I have to make sure I'm parked, and I know how long it takes to get to these places, and I know from the time that my stomach starts boiling over with the next bout of diarrhea, I know about how long I have. And I have to try to gauge that. Well, what if the only safe place that fits this other criteria is 3 minutes drive beyond that? I'll tell you what happens in that case, folks. When I walk into that bathroom in there, I have to change my underwear, and I don't know what to do with the other one because it's soiled, as is the seat in my car. And they call Governor Tim Walz a leader. Here's the consequences of this. As it gets worse and worse, as these people get more bold about violating the stay-at-home order, and more people are out there, but there's nowhere for them to go, so more and more people are messing with me, plus a much larger percentage of the people out there to begin with are gangbangers. And when I say gangbanger, I don't necessarily mean member of the Crips and Bloods. I mean people who are just up to no good. I'm not talking about Fat Albert's crowd where they're just kind of walking around do. That's not what I'm talking about. These people are up to no good. It has nothing to do with their color either. If you think I'm judging that based on color, then you don't know what I have to deal with. People white as snow do the same thing. So I am more and more, every single day since the stay-at-home order has happened, I have had more and more of that nonsense. That means every single day I have had less and less sleep. I have been experiencing more and more terror, more and more time where my body is in fight or flight mode, where my heart's thumping or the endorphins are flying through my body. I have gotten almost no work done at all, other than these videos. And look at how great these videos are, right? They're longer than I want them to be. I can't plan them out and edit them as well as I want to. As far as the drum kit goes, I've told you, I've done with about 18 out of 621 after almost 2 weeks. I couldn't even watch a video. I mean, I watched the Muppets, and then when I watch the second Muppets, 2/3 of the way through, I get stalked, as you saw in that last video, Dakota County Osteophobia. I still haven't finished watching that movie. What's the point? What's the point? Every time I try to do something, someone else messes with me. Do you get this yet? Osteophobia says that I'm the problem. I'm the threat. I'm the one people have to worry about. I'm the one who's going out and messing with everyone else. That's what osteophobia says. Reality says I'm just sitting here minding my own business, and it's them who keep coming and messing with me. They will call good evil and evil good. The world is turned 180 degrees from reality. And folks, I can't even watch all the videos I have here that I download and have already to learn. I can't even just sit in this car, put on the headphones, and listen to anything from Christian sermons to documentaries about history or archaeology. I can't even do that. And that's all I have for you today. I ask you to think about what I said in this video, because if you really think about it, there are some very important points here, especially when it comes to the quality of leadership we have in Minnesota right now. They can shoot their mouths off about character till the end of time, but I would like to see them demonstrate the kind of character that I have to being in this car. The Minnesota news media suckling up to this guy, they can shoot their mouth off about leadership till the end of time. I would like to see some leadership, such as somebody who takes this time to try to help all of you with these videos, made under conditions of duress that you will never comprehend. And yet I go through this effort. Do you think I'm not getting paid for it? I'm not getting paid a dime for it. I'm losing money making these videos. The things I have to do, it costs me money in gas and supplies. I'm doing this because I'm hoping the people out there will listen to what I'm saying. So that instead of calling good evil, they will call good good. And they will recognize evil for what it is. And this stay-at-home order is absolute evil. That's all I have for you right now. I really appreciate you watching, and I hope you got something out of this video. Take care of yourselves and your family. Not from the virus, but from the evil in this world.